The year is 2017 and experimental rapper, singer, and producer JPEGMAFIA is performing for a handful of people in a bowling alley. While he had garnered a small cult following online through his Devon Hendryx mixtapes and his debut project Black Ben Carson, his abrasive production and lyrics that were constantly walking the tightrope of aggressive and nerdy hadn't clicked with a wider audience. While he had been producing since 15, learning how to sample and use DAWs by reading manuals, he hadn't formally released music until serving in the Air Force. In an interview with the Cambridge Union, Peggy reflected on his aspirations to just be a producer, but he became a rapper, mixer, and masterer too out of necessity. Today, up-and-coming rappers would kill for a JPEGMAFIA beat, but in the early days, Peggy was rapping because he had a vision of a final product that only he could put together. Being in the Air Force overseas, there wasn't anyone he could bounce ideas off of, so he grew into the process he still uses today of recording in his own setup at his house. While lo-fi bedroom production is nothing new, and whole genres like SoundCloud rap thrived off of thrown together sounds that could only be captured in an improvised setup, when paired with raps about Jack and Daxter and text-to-speech donations and niche professional wrestlers, it paints a picture of the secluded and introverted people listening to his music better than any professional setup could. At the tail end of his residence in Baltimore, Maryland, he recorded around 120 tracks before cutting them down to the 19 that would make up his breakout 2018 project Veteran. Peggy attributed the aggression on this project to the chaos of living in Maryland, aggression that he was only able to come to terms with after mixing and mastering the album in Los Angeles. In an interview with Office magazine, Peggy reflected on trying to be less experimental with Veteran, saying that he was trying to present a strange idea in a comfortable way that people could understand. He expanded on this in his Cambridge Union interview, where he spoke on his love for Kanye West's process in creating the best final product and whittling down abstract ideas into something consumable. And while JPEGMAFIA's music isn't necessarily the most challenging in the genre, his implementation of experimental sounds and production layered with twinges of pop and hip-hop creates some of the most interesting music the genre has to offer. After the release of Veteran, people started to take notice. And while his underground audience was expanding, one bald music nerd was about to change the trajectory of Peggy's entire career. While many like to poke fun at some of Anthony Fantano's takes, his influence on the industry, especially in the second half of the 2010s, has shaped the landscape of online music consumption. And JPEGMAFIA is no stranger to his impact. As one commenter pointed out on his Yellow Flannel Veteran review, at the time of recording, Peggy's biggest song had 40,000 streams. 4 days later, the project had over 500,000. This isn't to say Anthony made his career. Instead, his Veteran review, which now has over 845,000 views, started the snowball that would create a diehard audience. When I first saw JPEGMAFIA live in 2019, he pulled up with a MacBook that he just plugged into the sound system, before talking about how he hadn't left the house in a week because he was playing Kingdom Hearts. This was 2 years after his bowling alley performance, and even though the crowd wasn't much bigger, his energy and control of the stage was amazing. Peggy is an artist that has been making the same music he wanted to for half a decade, and even though the crowds have gotten bigger, his persona hasn't changed. Now, with 3 more albums and 2 EPs, Peggy's just gotten better. The roughness of Veteran is still there, but refined into a sound that's widely imitated but still as boundary breaking as ever. It's gotten to the point where he's placing artificial handicaps on himself, like producing his collab album with experimental rap legend Danny Brown solely with the Roland SP404 sampler. You wouldn't be able to tell though, with Scaring the Host featuring some of Peggy's cleanest and catchiest production to date. Looking back on the last 6 years of his career, it's insane that he was ever performing for an empty bowling alley, with more and more rappers performing lifeless shows in empty arenas, relying on gimmicks and backing tracks to support a half-assed performance. JPEGMAFIA shows feel like 1 in a million. Even though the venues have gotten larger, his shows still feel as intimate as ever, like we're watching him record in his basement. Everything he has is earned, and having followed his rise closely in real time, it couldn't have happened to a more deserving artist. So what do you think? Let me know down in the comments what your favorite JPEGMAFIA project is, and thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you liked the video, and consider subscribing. It really helps me out. I love making videos and appreciate all the support on my last projects. I'll see you in the next one.